So if you read it aloud and tape it, record it. The reason is, over a period of time, within 15 days, you'll see the fluency in your speech. I've seen that myself. So please do that. Second step is, after you've read it aloud, then keep it down and speak about the same article in your own words. Is anybody doing that at this point in time? Please raise your hand. Wonderful. I see Rishabh saying that. I see Nangare. I see Yogesh. Wonderful. You will, I'm guaranteeing you'll benefit from it. After you get selected into the civil service, please message me, because so many people message me, sir, I benefited from what you told me. But if you don't do it, it's your luck. So you have to read it aloud and then keep it down and speak it aloud. This has to be done regularly. And the second drill is different, which is about group discussion, which I'll tell you later on. But this is extremely, extremely critical, because apart from this, you should try and speak as much as you can during the course of the day. As much as you can. Though, because the board is not going to give you number on what you have you hear in your head. They're going to marks on the basis of what you tell them. So you have to get into the habit of speaking as much as you can with your friends. And mind you, speak, think, eat, drink in the language in which you're going to speak before the board. Don't use WhatsApp language. How are you? HOW, letter R and letter U. No. Oh, come on, yaar. Get over that slang. You know, all of us have this habit of using some word or the other. So in the group discussion, I'll tell you how to get over that habit. You can do that in a month and a half, but you have to do that religiously. Is this understood by all of you? Can I see some nods of head? Nangare, Atul Nangare is very, very, There's no harm in nodding your head a bit more, because when the board asks you, have you understood what you're saying? And you say, you know, I'm digressing a bit. I was undergoing training in the police academy in Hyderabad, and I didn't know the difference between yes and no. Those from Hyderabad will know that there's a very subtle difference between yes and no. Now with the board, you have to be very clear. If they ask you something, there's no harm in nodding head a bit. You know, a bit of it. You don't have to nod this way, but Nangara sahab ke samne ke bada dhyan se dekhna padega whether he's agreeing with this. This is all body language that matters in a board, whether you are listening to them. Communication does not mean merely speaking. It also means whether you're listening to the person, and you have to make that person believe that you are listening to him. So you have to make me believe. There's an iPad here. I don't know the name of the person who just written iPad. I mean, there are not one iPad. There's one iPad. There's one iPhone. That lady sitting there, I don't know your name. Can you unmute yourself? Madam iPhone?
Okay.
Yeah, niche, yes. Last row mein. Madam na iPhone.
Okay.
So.
Yes, please unmute yourself.
Madam iPhone, can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Okay. What's your good name?
Yes, sir. Sir, Iram Chaudhary.
Iram, okay. Are you
Yes,
following
sir.
the protocol that I have suggested for improving your articulation?
No, sir. I actually joined the group yesterday. I didn't know about the video. I'm sorry.
Okay, so that link of the video will be sent to you again. Please
Okay,
watch
sir.
it forthwith. You have
Okay,
reasonably
sir.
good articulation, but you can improve further, right?
Oh, okay,
Always
sir.
better.
Yes, sir.
You can go back to the PowerPoint presentation.
Share screen.
Right. So this was about improving your articulation. The second part of improving articulation is constitute small groups. Go back to the group again. Close this. Go back to the group. Close this. Open the group.
Open the group. Stop share. Yes.
Now, I hope all of you have been made part of a group, WhatsApp group. Those that are not, please raise your hand. Anybody who's not a part of that group. Right, I see no hands, so all of you are part of the group.
Fabin is there, Fabin is there. And so Fabin, you're not part of the group yet?
He doesn't use WhatsApp.
Okay, so you don't use WhatsApp.
Okay,
right?
fine. He must be using something else. All others are part of the group. Can I find, can somebody who's coordinator of a group raise his or her hand? Coordinators have also been appointed. I see
Okay,
Ritika. Ritika, you are coordinator of a group?
Siddharth.
Dhruv. Okay, excellent. Now listen to this carefully. All of you have been constituted to become a part of a group of 5 each. And I am also a part of that. I'm the 6th member. Furqan is the 7th member. Though I won't be troubling you much. But what is the purpose of creating these groups? The purpose of creating this group, and listen to this very carefully, is to have a group discussion every day on a topic to be decided by the group itself. The first topic to set the ball rolling will be decided by the coordinator, right? So these discussions should start today evening itself. Today evening at a time to be fixed by the group, you will fix a time to have a group discussion. What is the purpose of this group discussion? Purpose of this group discussion is twofold. Number one, your articulation will improve. Second, you will get to know in detail about a current topic, because this discussion will be on a current topic. Now the protocol will be as follows. For every day, the coordinator will nominate one person among the group who will be the lead speaker. And that lead speaker will speak on the topic for 10 minutes, which will then be followed by statements by other members of the group, 1 to 2 minutes each. I am repeating it. Every day, there will be a topic picked up by the group. The first day topic will be picked up by the coordinator and assigned to a particular member of the group. That member of the group on the following day will speak for 10 minutes on that topic. Now you will ask me this question. Will the board ask you a question in which you have to speak for 10 minutes? No. But if you can speak logically for 10 minutes, you will be able to get into the habit of speaking logically, rationally, coherently. That's what I want you to get into. So this will be building on what you've read in the morning. One, practices of speaking it aloud. The other is discussing on a subject in the evening. And I'm repeating again, the coordinator for the first topic, the coordinator will give the topic and nominate a person. But thereafter, the group itself will decide on the following day who is going to be speaking, who will be the principal speaker. That principal speaker will speak for 10 minutes and followed by comments by 1 or 2 minutes by other speakers. This will take about 20 minutes. Another 10 minutes you can have free for all open discussion. The job of the coordinator is to ensure that there is a discipline in the group. And mind you, I will be peeping in some of your discussions because I'll be a member. You can have these discussions on WhatsApp. You can have this on Google. You can have this on any platform that you decide. But my friends, have it every day, like everyday reading. Have a discussion on this. You will thoroughly enjoy it. You will enjoy it now and you'll enjoy it once you get into civil service. Because so many of them, I'll bring some of them to you who passed last year and the year before last. They will be interacting with you, how they benefited from variety of drills that we did. Any question on this? Please raise your hands if you have any question on this. Any question? Yes,
So,
Ayush.
Ayush,
Unmute Ayush.
What I'm feeling these days is that the knowledge portion like scares me a lot. That if I spend so much time in articulation, how will I tackle the knowledge part?
So Ayush, I have taken only 1.5 hours from you from 24 hours.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How much time have I taken?
1.5 hours.
1.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
Now 22.5 hours, if my mathematics is correct, is not good enough for you to improve your knowledge.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
So, another thing, since he raised this point, I'll come back to you, Chaitanya. Another important issue that comes out from his discussion is, don't get hassled about lack of knowledge.
Okay, sir.
Because that getting hassled will trouble you about what you know also. So whatever you know, I will come to those subjects, what is expected of you in terms of knowledge. But awareness is different. Awareness will come more about by discussing with people around. मैं आपको शुद्ध हिंदी में बता रहा हूं, आपको पढ़ाई नहीं करनी है. You've done your studies. Now you have to enjoy this journey for next 1 month. Enjoy it. Be relaxed and enjoy it. But do something in a disciplined manner. Don't worry about it, but do it. Is that okay, Ayush?
Thank you so much, sir.
There was somebody else.
yes, sir. Ankur is there.
Ankur, please unmute yourself and ask
Ankur.
your question.
Ankur,
Ankur.
you're not audible, please.
There's something
Check.
wrong with your audio system, Ankur.
So please check your audio system, Ankur. So we will come back to you again. Manija. Manija, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Can you
Yes,
hear
Manish.
me? Okay,
Yes,
thanks. Thank you so much, sir. I just have rather a logistical question. If the schedule that you are talking about, sir, can be in the morning or either evening, the conversation that you said that if the groups can have for example, if I am in the group which can have it in the evening, if that is the freedom up to the group, then it can be good, sir, for
Absolutely.
working
There is
people.
total freedom. You need not have a discussion. That also freedom you have.
No, sir, we want to have discussion.
Absolute freedom.
Yeah.
I'm only my job is only to suggest. मैं आपकी ACR annual confidential role थोड़ी ना लिखूंगा, आप जो चाहिए करिए.
Sir.
It is, my is only suggestion to you.
Yeah.
It is told you all, mind you, please, my loud voice should not prevent you from enjoying your freedom that you have. You have all the freedom in the world. So let that not be. My suggestion is, let there be a group discussion. Let there be a group decision. I should not be imposing. That's why I said you have free. You decide the time. But once you decide the time, commit yourself. That's an attitude. You can't say that I decided, but I couldn't come. Like some people said, sir, I cannot come. You have to decide your priority. I can't decide your priority. So there's no dependence on anybody. You're totally free to take a call on that, right?
Very
Okay,
true. Thank you.
iPhone.
Okay, so iPhone user.
Yes, I forgot your name.
Sir,
Yes.
Iram Chaudhary.
Yes.
So
Iram.
actually, I'm a part of this PT 2023 discussion. Is it the same group you're talking about, that small group?
Yes. So I'm surprised that you are not constitute. I think you are a part of which group?
She has joined yesterday.
Ajay, you joined yesterday. You will be put in a group. Don't worry. You will be put in a group by this evening.
Okay,
Don't
sir.
worry.
Okay.
Whoever, now this is an announcement
Okay,
to
sir.
everyone. Whoever has not been put in any group as yet, by this evening you will be part of a group. So don't worry on that front. That's our job. We'll do it.
Neha Panchal.
Sir, I have written my mains in English, but my medium of interview is Hindi, sir. So, sir, मुझे ये पूछना था कि मुझे हिंदी न्यूज़पेपर डेली प्रैक्टिस करना है.
बिल्कुल. आप सब संवाद मुझसे, सब चर्चा पूरी हिंदी में कीजिएगा. आप अंग्रेजी में सोचना भी बंद कर दीजिए. बोलना तो हिंदी में पूरा कीजिए आप. और हिंदी का ही पेपर पढ़िए आप. आप कुछ और खोलिए, बता, खाइए, पीजिए, सोइए, सब हिंदी में पूरी. देखिए, मैं इसलिए आपसे ये कह रहा हूँ कि आप लोगों ने अनुभव किया नहीं किया, मैंने अनुभव किया. मेरी मातृभाषा हिंदी थी, तो जब मैं अंग्रेजी बोलता था तो मैं उसको मेंटली पहले ट्रांसलेट करता था, फिर बोलता था, तो निर्बाध रूप से जो भाषा का व्याख्यान होना चाहिए वो नहीं होता था. यही बात हिंदी के साथ है. अब आप सोच रहे हो मैं हिंदी कैसे बोल रहा हूँ धारा प्रवाह से, क्योंकि वही जो आप करने जा रही हूँ मैंने हिंदी के लिए भी किया.
जी सर.
तो आप पूर्णतः हिंदी में सोचिए, बोलिए. जो आपसे अंग्रेजी में बोलिए उसको बोलने दीजिए, आप हिंदी में बोलिए. भाषा बड़ी अच्छी है हिंदी.
तो सर क्या इस चीज से कोई फर्क पड़ता है बोर्ड के मतलब व्यूज में कि मतलब मैं हिंदी में इंटरव्यू दे रही हूँ और कोई बच्चा इंग्लिश में दे रहा है, क्या इस चीज से फर्क पड़ता है सर?
इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता, लेकिन बोर्ड आपसे इस पे कुछ प्रश्न कर सकता है. उसकी चर्चा हम यहाँ नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि वो सामान्य लोगों के लिए. हम जब 1-on-1 आपसे चर्चा करेंगे, जैसे मैंने अंत में बताऊंगा, उसमें मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि किस प्रकार के प्रश्न आपसे पूछे जा सकते हैं. लेकिन बोर्ड का कोई बायस नहीं होता इसमें, ये आप समझ लीजिए. अगर किसी के दिमाग में यह है कि हम हिंदी में इंटरव्यू देंगे तो हमें नंबर कम मिलेंगे, ऐसा नहीं. ये सोचना बिल्कुल है. यूपीएससी इज एब्सोल्युटली अबव बोर्ड, तो आप उसकी चिंता बिल्कुल ना कीजिए. आप हिंदी में दीजिए, आपकी हिंदी अच्छी है, हिंदी और
धन्यवाद सर.
बहुत बढ़िया.
ओके, सो चैतन्य.
Sir, I have a different kind of problem ki when a question is asked to me, I tend to have a brain freeze and I am unable to actually come up with an answer. So how do I go about it, sir?
Okay, Chaitanya has raised a very fundamental issue. He is humble enough, he's open enough to admit that. All of us face that brain freeze. I mean, I see nod from Yogesh, the other people who are nodding. So Chaitanya, first of all, to avoid that brain freeze, you must appreciate the fact that everyone faces that brain freeze. You are not unique. One of the problems that we face is that we think the problem is only with me. So it's not your only problem, it's everybody's problem, everyone. Some people get brain frozen for some time, some for longer time, but everyone has a brain freeze. Especially when you're going before the board for the first time or second time, you don't know what to say. You have that, it's very natural. That is one. Second, the brain freeze happens because there are too many thoughts that are jumping in your mind. And you don't know which thought to pick up. Many things. So what you have to do is, during course of group discussions as you'll have, you will have many occasions to speak up on issues and get into the habit of responding. It's a question of overcoming that brain freeze that you have, and that will be true of number of you. My friends, I experienced it myself. That's why I'm sharing with all of you. I had a brain freeze in the first attempt, because I partly knew the answer and I was not sure whether I should give that answer. In subsequent slide, I'll explain to you how to answer a question. I'm not coming to that. Right now, my focus was improving your articulation, for which I had suggested 2 steps. One, reading aloud the newspaper. The other is the group discussion. These are the 2 methods through which you can improve your articulation. How to answer a question, I'll come to later on, and then probably I'll address more specifically the question that you're using. Yeah, then, right?
Okay, so next is Dimpy Rajora. Yes, please ask your question.
Sir, I have a habit of answering the questions in a long manner, like in
Hold on. Right now, please restrict your questions to articulation, group discussion, and reading. I will come to this. Dimpy, you have raised a very pertinent point, but there are subsequent slides where I am talking in terms of what happens when you answer your question. Raise your question there. Right now, please limit your questions to the 2 things that I've said. If you have any problems in that, problems in terms of reading the newspaper aloud, problems in terms of forming a group and discussing there. If you don't, then hold your question. In any case, after I have completed my presentation, the house will be open. You can ask any question then. But let us right now be focused on improving articulation. Is that right? So, Ankur, can we take your question later on if it does not relate directly to this? Right. Okay. We go to the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Now, just go to the previous slide. Can you go to the previous slide?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, second, I have said that constitute small groups of aspirants and hold group discussions. The last point is mock interviews, which shall be organized by StudyIQ. Though I'm personally speaking, I mean, I've shared it with people here also. I'm not too much enamored with mock interviews otherwise, because mock interview is more of a test rather than preparation. You test yourself. I'm not so much in favor of testing yourself. I'm in favor of improving myself. Testing will tell me this is where I'm wrong, and I don't think there is time enough for you to do that. But in any case, there will be some mock interviews. We'll come to that later on. Next one. Now, this again is very important. And I'm right now talking about preparation till the day of your personality test. This is the journey that you have to undertake. Now, you have to study the details about the hobbies indicated, places of stay, education, existing past professional, and why do you want to switch? This is very important. Some of you would already be in a profession, no? And you want to switch over to some other profession. You must have good reason to explain why do you want. Don't say, some of you that I interact with, they say, I want to serve the nation. You will be in serious trouble if you say, I want to. I mean, it's not that bad. You should say, but it should not be the beginning and the end of your statement. Sir, I am here to serve the nation. If each one of us was there to serve this nation, bureaucracy would not be getting such a bad name as we have. So, whereas this could be an objective, maybe subsequently I'll tell you, if such a question is asked, how do you answer that question? Why are you joining the civil service? I'll ask some of you to answer that question first, and then maybe I'll tell you how probably you can answer that question, right? Then you have to brush up the details about the subject opted for in the context of current happenings. So some of you would have opted for PSIR. Now, they will not ask you about Plato or Aristotle, or they won't ask you about that. They will ask you about, if you are a student of international relations, then they will ask you about Ukraine. They can ask you about Ukraine in any case. They can ask you this question, why is India importing oil from Russia when India supports Ukraine? These are questions that will come. So what you have to do is, if you have taken a subject and some recent event had happened, in case of geography, zoology, botany, any current event that has happened which relates to your subject, you should be aware. Then you can't say, sir, I don't know, because you're supposed to know that, right? And then, of course, the third part is very important. Here, I would suggest to all of you, and I have seen that some of the material provided by StudyIQ through the YouTube, it's all available on YouTube channel. My suggestion to you would be, watch those videos of StudyIQ on current affairs. They are freely available. You don't have to pay anything. But for understanding of issues, I have yet to come across videos there that are as good as this. And that is one reason why I've associated myself with StudyIQ. This gentleman who's sitting here, Mr. Chand, you know, I'm a student of political science. I studied Plato at length. I did my master's in political science. And it was when I saw his video on StudyIQ, a very small video on Plato, I got a new understanding of Plato very clearly. I mean, I wish I had that. I could give that example and clarity of thought. So my suggestion to all of you is, please watch the videos of StudyIQ on all current affairs. And they are very short videos. It won't take much time. Despite the gentleman who was telling me, sir, if I do everything that you tell me, how will I get time to improve my awareness levels? Let me tell you, this will help you improve your awareness level. Right? Go to the next one. Now, we have prepared ourselves. I hope you have prepared yourself. What do you do on the day of the personality test? Dress normally. You know, I remember in the first year when I appeared in the civil service exam, can we go to the full screen?
Full screen.
I thought I'll share this with you. For the first year when I went to the interview or the personality test, I was wearing a suit in the month of April end. And I was feeling very queasy and uneasy inside it. Because my folks told me that servicemen, I'm talking of 1981. I appeared, qualified in, 1980. It was 1980. I qualified in the police 1980. And in those days, we still had not overcome the British Raj. Even now we don't have, but I was wearing a tie and a shirt. Of course, the board, I don't think noticed it at all, but I was feeling very uneasy. Now, if you're physically uneasy when you go into a room, then you can rest assured that you are not in full force there. You should be your natural self. Don't wear a jeans or आजकल फैशन में देखता हूँ. मैंने तो एक बार गलती से किसी कह दिया आपकी जीन्स फटी हुई है तो सिलवा लीजिए. वो मुझे पता क्या था, वो तो फैशन है उस समय का. I was not aware. I'm fairly ignorant. So I genuinely told a friend of my daughter that आपकी शायद आपने देखा नहीं, आपकी jeans फट गई है. And both started laughing at me. So don't wear a torn jeans. This may be the fashion of the day. Don't wear a jeans. Wear normal clothes. And because it's not a fashion show, for the ladies, I would also like to suggest, wear whatever you are comfortable with. Don't wear anything outlandish. You understand? वो आजकल आप लोगों में से तो कोई है नहीं एकाध. आजकल अजीब हेयर स्टाइल आ गया, मालूम नहीं नाई को पैसा क्यों देता है आदमी. वो ग्रास कटर को देते, हाँ काट दिया ऊपर वही का वही है ना. तो वो सब लेकर मत जाइएगा वहां पे. अच्छा, जिनकी दाढ़ी वाड़ी है या तो उसको ट्रिम कर लीजिएगा. वैसे आयुष साहब की तो दाढ़ी ठीक लग रही है, लेकिन ऐसा वहां से लंबी दाढ़ी लेकर मत जाइएगा वहां पे ऐसे. आई एम नॉट सेइंग बिकॉज आई एम अगेंस्ट इट. You know, you are joining civil service, there is some discipline to be obtained. So जैसे अंकुर साहब हैं, इनका हेयर स्टाइल मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, लेकिन इस हेयर स्टाइल के साथ मत जाइएगा वहां पर, वरना आपसे इसी पे प्रश्न कर लेंगे, ये क्या लेटेस्ट है क्या. वो बोर्ड का मेंबर आपसे पूछेगा लेटेस्ट है क्या, हमने ये नहीं देखा. अब आप क्या जवाब दीजिएगा उसका. तो जरा सोच के, whenever you appear now, henceforth get into the habit of appearing decently. I mean, don't. And second, I mean, pardon my using these phrases, I'm not saying that you will do it, but I'm just forewarning you with some experience that I had. Don't wear a very strong perfume. कि बड़ा पूरा कमरा महक गया. आपकी जानकारी से, आपकी ज्ञान से महकना चाहिए. Don't wear a very strong perfume or cologne that the board wakes up to that cologne. Why I'm saying that is sometimes if you wear something outlandish, then it gets noticed. Otherwise, normally नहीं होता कोई notice. Right? Go back to the
share screen.
Then second point is very, very important. You know, when I go back to the screen,
Share.
Second point is important because communication actually means two-way communication. You should not only listen carefully, but you should be appearing to be listening carefully. And that's why when I mentioned to some of you that it appears that आप गौतम बुद्ध बने हुए हैं, तो आप थोड़ा सा गर्दन हल्का हल्का कर दीजिएगा, तो लगेगा you are in conversation with him. A listener is also in conversation with the person who's spoken to. Okay? So you have to have, don't nod your head like this, but you know, that's what communication, your eyes, your body language should be able to convey to the person who's speaking to you that you are listening to him. Obviously, you should be listening to him. And I am hopeful that you would be listening to him. But you have to also convey to him that you're listening to him. That is important. Second, let the board member complete his question or observation before you jump in. Sometimes you would have seen it कि आपको आंसर क्योंकि पता है इसलिए आप खत्म होने से पहले ही सर 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 क्लास में कई बच्चे होते थे, क्वेश्चन खत्म नहीं हुआ खड़े हो गए अपना जवाब देने के लिए. ये नहीं कीजिएगा. You have to, and then when you respond, there's no harm in pausing for a second or two, which will give an impression that this man is not impulsive. He pauses, thinks, and then answers. All this can be cultivated. It's not very difficult. These are not very difficult things to cultivate. But you have to get over this habit. How do you get over the habits that you have? It is like you have this WhatsApp group that you have. And if you can meet physically also in a group, you tell people that if I do something wrong, please point out. Normally क्या होता है हमारी तरफ यूपी में कहते हैं मुरव्वत में कोई किसी की बात नहीं बताता, बुरा ना मान जाए. ठीक है ना? जैसे मैंने आप लोगों से कुछ चीज कहा, आप लोग भी बुरा मान रहे होंगे कि साहब ये क्या बोल रहे हैं. बुरा मानने की चीज नहीं है. अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव आपका सिविल सर्विस माना, बुरा मान के क्या कीजिएगा. तो गिव दिस फ्रीडम. अभी की फ्रीडम की बात हो रही थी ना, किसी ने मुझसे पूछा था. गिव दिस फ्रीडम टू योर फ्रेंड्स, कोलीग्स टू पॉइंट आउट वेयर यू आर गोइंग रॉन्ग. Give me the freedom to tell you if you are going wrong somewhere. Please don't take it otherwise. So if I commented on the hair of Ankur, I hope he doesn't shave my beard off or whatever is left of it, right? So it will happen because then you will be able to change it. You can, in month and a half that is there. When I have one-on-one interaction with some of you, I will share these thoughts with you on how we can go ahead and do that. Okay, right. Then let's go back to the screen share. The third point is very, very important. दोस्तों के साथ होता है कि मैंने बाजी मार ली आर्गुमेंट में ना, बोर्ड में बाजी नहीं मारी. I must share with you my personal experience during the second year. During the second year, there were many questions that were asked of me in which I had a different point of view. There's no harm in having a different point of view, right? And the board member was pushing me. I'll give you a concrete example. There was a board member, because वो भी बोर हो जाते हैं सुबह से क्वेश्चन पूछते पूछते, तो he was reading a book. In the board, he was reading a book. And then suddenly he read out a statement from that book and asked me, Mr. Swaroop, what do you make out of this statement? So I told him, sir, I have not read the book. I don't know the background. Sir, if you can give me the background, then I'll be able to answer your question. And the book was India's China War. I remember. And it had a very dramatic statement. So he said, no, you tell me what you think of it. So I told him what I thought of it. I disagreed with the statement. Then he said, no, but the book says that this is the reason. I said, that's why I asked you, sir. You give me the background, maybe I'm wrong. So other board members started laughing at him because he made a fool of it. Now, you don't have to make a fool of the board member. But if he makes a fool of himself, it is his problem. The reason why I'm telling you this is that there will be occasions where you'll be asked off-the-cuff things. So you don't have to argue with him. You have to present your point of view, and in subsequent slides, I would request you to cultivate certain phraseology in your communication so that you don't appear to be stiff. Because at your age, you have not arrived as yet. Even at my age, I have not arrived. I'm still learning. Some of us at that stage also started believing that this is it. This is how it should be. Kashmir ki problem ko solve solution ye hai. India ki economy ko solve solution ye hai. You may have an idea. You may have a suggestion, but there could be a counter suggestion. So you should appear to be clear in your mind, but you should be also seen as accepting a reason that is coming from elsewhere. Can you go back to the... Okay, next, let's go. Right. Now, again, listen to this very carefully. You must understand the difference between facts and opinions, right? Now, facts are facts. Now, suppose they ask you a question, asking you a factual question. Let's take an absurd example. They ask you a question of what is the population of India, right? I'm taking very simple. Now, here you should not be guessing. Fact is a fact is a fact. Sometimes the board member may push you. No, you take a guess. Then you take a guess. But on your own, facts should be stated only if you know the facts correctly. Now, you are not supposed to know all the facts. So if you don't know a particular fact, don't worry about it. I'm repeating this time and again Because during my second interview, I distinctly remember there were 25% of the questions that I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer. It didn't make a difference. In the first year interview, I didn't have an answer to one question and I became nervous. By second interview, I realized that I am not supposed to know everything. If I don't know, I don't know. Because if you live in your ignorance of not knowing something, then you will not be able to express what you know. You understand this point. Please go back to the whole screen. Do you understand this point? First, you must understand very clearly that everyone doesn't know everything. You are also one of them. So don't worry if you don't know things. You know, some gentleman was asking that Chaitanya Saab पूछ रहे थे मैं मेरा brain freeze. This problem arises, brain freeze, when you think you are lonely in the park. Same is the case with ignorance or no knowledge of facts. You think you are the only person who doesn't know and the rest. I can guarantee you some of the questions that the board members ask, the other members don't know the answer. So don't worry about it. Go with confidence that you have cleared a written exam and your knowledge levels are much better than those chaps sitting on the other side of the. If you were interviewing them, you will take them to cleaners. In fact, some of you, if you start interviewing me, I won't be able to answer the questions, but factual questions. But when it comes to opinions, now understand the difference. Because fact is a fact is a fact. There can't be anything. You can't fight over it. But opinions can vary. Now, opinion itself is based on certain facts. Now, if you don't know the fact, then don't give an opinion. But many occasions, the board will tell you, this is the background. Then you can give an opinion. You should actually give an opinion. So, whereas there could be a difference in opinion, there can't be differences in facts. And never contest a fact with the board member. I will tell you what are the terminologies that you can use to prevent an embarrassment to you or to the board member. Right? Go back to the.
Sir, if I may ask one question here, right? So when we are talking about, opinions, we study newspaper every day. We find various opinions on the same topic from various writers. Now, first of all, should we create our own opinion on the basis of those various opinions, and how to create a fine balance between our opinion and representing their opinions in the interview?
Wonderful.
Class.
So what I'll do is I will come to third point, which will take care of the question that you are raising.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Sure.
I'll come to third point.
Sure,
but in the second point, let me explain the second point,
Yes,
and then I'll come to your question.
Sure, sir.
It's a very valid question, and all of you should listen to this carefully when I answer this question. You know, at your age, as I keep repeating, there are no finality in terms of opinions. You can have an opinion, someone else may have another opinion. So it is good to cultivate a habit of using phrases like, sir, based on the limited information that I have, sir, in my opinion, in all probability, in all likelihood, perhaps, these are the terms that you use. It will reflect on you as a person who does not say that he has the final answer to all the questions. Do you get this point? Let's go back to the group again. Do you get this point? At your age, you are not supposed to give a final answer to things. Right? Okay. There could be suppose you've given cricket as your hobby and someone may ask you, should Virat Kohli retire? Now, this is an opinionated question, no? Now, if you have facts at your command through which you can justify that Virat Kohli should not retire, state those facts. But you can't say, so no, sir, you should not retire. Uske baad kuch hai nahi mere paas. Hota hai na? Nahi, should not retire. Let me take a slightly more controversial question, which may or may not be asked. Should burqa be banned in schools? Should hijab be banned in schools? There's a case going on. Now, these are tricky questions. I'm not answering these questions right now because we'll take these tricky questions separately. What I'm telling you right now is your opinions have to be based on certain factual information. If you don't have that information, then you say, sir, right now I do not have sufficient information to form an opinion on this issue. But the board member may supply you that fact. Then your answer could be, sir, if what you say, I am sure what you say is correct, then probably this is the way forward. Now I'm using the word probably because there are no final solutions to issues that beset our country, our society, our state, anybody. There are no final solutions. That's why the terms that I mentioned here probably, in my opinion, it does not show you as a person who's not clear-headed. You are clear-headed. But you have not been able to arrive at finality because there could be many other facts that might come to you. Go by the example of the book that he was reading. So when he gave me those facts, then my view could change. So it's not that my views are frozen for all times. My present day view or present time view or views are based on the information that I have. So I admit before the board that if more information becomes available to me, then I will probably change my view. Right now, on the basis of information that's where the logic part comes. That's where the reason part comes in. That's where the coherence part comes in. My ideas are based on the facts at my command. If more facts come to light, then I'm prepared to reflect and review my point of view. Does that make sense to you, all of you? Wonderful. Let's go back to now we come to the question that was raised by Chand, and a very relevant question. As I said, there is no final answer solution available. So, for example, on a particular issue, there are a number of views. There could be a number of views, and those views are based on certain facts, right? Now, let's take this example of whether Article 370 should have been dispensed with. Okay, a very critical, crucial question. So, if I were to answer that question, I will list out the positive features and the negative features of 370. And then in my own evaluation will say that in the larger context, though there is a flip side to it, my personal view is that it should have been done away with much earlier, because Kashmir is a part of this country. And though it is necessary to sustain the identity of people and culture of the people, 350 prevented or notionally prevented its integration with the country. We should, however, take steps to see that the local cultural identity is not lost. Now, this is my personal view, based on whatever facts that I have. After I've explained that, you may have a different point of view. Now, you don't have to fight with the board member. You have a certain point of view, you state that. Now, if you read articles on Article 370, there will be many people opposing it, there will be many people supporting it. That's what democracy is all about. There are points of view on either side of the fence. So your job is to present both the parts and then bring about a balanced view. Now, this is very important, because as a civil servant, you're not supposed to be a revolutionary. I jokingly tell people that if you were a revolutionary, then you should give up civil service, pick up a jhadu and join a political party. You can't continue in civil service being a revolutionary. And hence, you have not only to have positive attitude that I had mentioned earlier, you have to have a balanced view. And balanced view is that you evaluate both the pros and cons and then give a point of view based on your assessment of the situation. Now, I'm nobody to tell you that you should say this. You should be able to say what you want to say. It should come out from your conviction. And finally, the fourth point that is mentioned here, this I'm repeating time and again, that nobody knows answers to all the questions. This will give you enormous amount of confidence. Go back to the screen. Do you get this point? I'm repeating this time and again, because psychologically, you are burdened by your ignorance. My friends, you are probably the most informed people right now, having given the civil service exam and having qualified for the... So on that front, you should feel confident. Don't burden yourself by feeling that you don't know this, you don't know that. No one knows everything. You should know what you should know. Meaning thereby, whatever you know, you should know well. You should not appear to be flippant. You should not appear to know something of everything. No, what you know, you know. If you don't know, you tell him. And here again, I'm going back to the difference between facts and opinion. There will be many facts that you would not be aware. Say, admit it. I mean, it will be taken as positive. I think the fact that they gave me so many marks second year, despite 25%, they took it as a positive trait in me that I had the courage to say no when I had to say no. I was not fibbing around. So say no, very politely, sir. I'm sorry, sir, I am not aware of this. Oh, he might ridicule you. Oh, you don't even know this. Don't counter him. Don't counter him, tell him, sir, do you know this? मुझे तो पता, आपको पता है क्या? आप नहीं करेंगे, but still. You see, you are at the receiving end. So your confidence comes from the fact that you're not supposed to know everything. Problem जब चैतन्य साहब को ये आती है, ये assume करके चलना है कि मैं इंटरव्यू में जा रहा, I should know everything. अगर ये नहीं पता होगा तो क्या होगा? I had that psychology in the first year. अगर ये नहीं पता होगा तो क्या होगा? आपने देखा होगा, I don't know आप लोगों में से कितने करते हैं, एग्जाम में घुसते समय लोग किताब खोल के पढ़ रहे हैं, कितना समझ लेते पता नहीं होता, नहीं होता। आप में से कितने लोग करते थे? घुसे, अरे रुको यार 1 मिनट, अरे ये छूट गया, अरे जो आता है वो भी भूल जाएंगे आप। लास्ट मोमेंट में कुछ नहीं, बिल्कुल रिलैक्स रहिए आप। You all must compliment yourself, pat yourself on the back that you qualified in a very difficult examination. So take it easy, relax. Let's go back to the next slide. So all the best to you. Now there are a few other points that I wanted to mention to you before we open this for discussion. And this discussion would mean that you would be free to ask any question under the sun. Point number 1 is, we have decided to hold one-on-one physical session on the 22nd of December. Now, I have already indicated that those of you who want to be a part of that, that will be held in Delhi. It will be in Defense Colony. The address will be given to those that want to come here. This request has to be made to StudyIQ, Mr. Furqan, by tomorrow evening, by 17th, because then we will structure accordingly specific slots for you. This slot will be for 10 minutes. I will have one-on-one discussion with the concerned person. I will have your DAF before me, and I'll be able to suggest to you what are the possible questions that are going to be asked of you and how you can prepare yourself. That is one. Those that cannot come physically to Delhi on 22nd can also make a request, and we can have a one-to-one session with them, either on Zoom or WhatsApp or telephone, whatever. We'll discuss that time. You will be informed of the time once we hear from you for the 22nd. There will be time slots given to you on 22nd, time slots given to you for Zoom or WhatsApp session, one-on-one session. But my request to all of you is adhere to that time slot, because there are other people standing in the queue. If you don't come in that time, we'll switch over to the other queue. So this is on 22nd. The physical interface will be on 22nd in Defense Colony, and we'll give you the address. Then I am attempting to get some of the serving officers right now and some of the officers who qualified in the past couple of years. Jagrati, who secured 2nd position, has agreed to. She was like one of you in interaction, and she will tell you how she benefited from it. She was a 2nd position holder, I think, in 2020 or 2019 batch. She will be coming and talking to you. We will structure these sessions, and you can have interactive sessions with them. Then, as I said, mock interviews will also be organized subsequently with all of you. And I have already discussed with you the protocol from the group discussions, to kindly follow it. At this point in time, I had only to say that much. Now we open the session for interaction. Now you can ask any question that you have in mind. Keep this question to be general questions, which could be useful to others. If you have a personal specific question, I would suggest leave it to one-on-one session.
So we have Ankur with us. Ankur, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you're audible.
So there are 2 queries I have. One of which is that how to understand whether the board is asking an opinion-based question or is asking as in the knowledge-based question. So the point is that how do we differentiate between not knowing something or not having an opinion of something, because the extent of these two will determine being confused. It has an inherent risk of answering the question while being confused. So how do we?
Ankur, if you give me a specific example, I probably will be able to answer specifically. But let me generally answer your question. All opinions are based on certain facts. Okay. So you need not have an opinion on an issue of which you have no command over facts. So in some cases, you can say, sir, I could not form or cannot form an opinion because I'm not fully conversant with the background. Go back to the book question again. That gentleman asked me an opinion on a statement, and I was not aware of the facts or the background. So I asked him that, sir, I'm not aware of the background. But he still insisted. I gave my opinion. So you can't have a, they won't ask you a question that should a person be honest, because facts are not relevant there. Just an opinion. But they will ask your opinion on situations. So if you are conversant with the background of that situation, you will be in a better position to give your opinion on that.
Sir, one particular question regarding this only. Sir, I had a Maratha friend. And few years back, we all know that the Maratha quota reservation thing was going on. So when he appeared for the interview, his name, the board saw his name and they asked him directly only that, do you think that the Marathas should be given reservation? Now, in the wake of emotion, sir, he said, yes, they should be given, reservation, but then he had no facts to support. Now, how do we?
So that will be counterproductive. And never start your answer with a yes or no. Listen to this carefully. Because a categorical yes and no will put you on the back foot. You should try and explain and then come to a conclusion. And conclusion also in black and white. Let me address this question. I'm not aware of the facts of Marathas. Okay. If I'm not aware of the facts of Marathas, I will talk about reservation in general and the need for it. I will explain to them why is the necessity of reservation. Despite the problems, I will explain the rationale for reservation. And then I would say, sir, though I'm not conversant with all the background about Marathas and the factual details, sir, my understanding is that they also would probably fall in that category. देखिए कितने सारे दरवाजे मैंने पीछे खोल रखे ना निकल के भागने के लिए. अगर हमने स्टार्ट किया नो सर मराठा शुड बी गिवन रिजर्वेशन तो पहले ही फंस गए हम खड़े हो गए अपनी तलवार लेकर गर्दन मेरी उड़ जाएगी उससे.
So, but wouldn't that sound a bit confusing and the board would understand that this particular guy doesn't has an opinion of himself?
No. If you don't have facts about you, in any case don't have an opinion, admit that. Your opinion has to be based on facts. But what you are saying is, you are explaining the rationale for reservation. And then you can say, sir, I'm not fully conversant with the fact. If I get those facts, probably I'll be in a better position to explain whether Marathas fall in this category or not. Right?
Okay, sir.
So you're not running away from it. You are explaining that there is a rationale for reservation, but I don't have the facts to justify whether they fall in that category or not.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Give me any other example, I'll explain to you the answer.
So let's say if there is a question regarding my home state or home district. So let's say if somebody asks you what are the current, what is your opinion on the work on electricity development in Vaishali?
Okay, right.
So
right.
Then, I have a very vague idea that the situation is better than earlier. That's it. I have personally seen that there have
very simple. It's not very tough. Sir, I don't have data at my command, but my personal experience living in Vaishali has been that earlier there used to be a 6-hour cut, now it is a 4-hour cut. Answer given?
Okay.
No?
Yes.
You have to have the sense of humor. If you don't have the sense of humor, you will be in trouble. So I'm giving him a personal experience rather than data. And I'm admitting the fact that I don't have the data ki kitna produce ho raha hai, kitna ja raha hai, kitna aa raha hai. But my personal experience is, sir, I live there. I'll give you another example which was not in the IAS, in some other interview I was asked. I had written music as my hobby. और फंस गया मैं उसमें. उसने पूछा, well, Mr. Swaroop, you've given music as a hobby. Do you sing? अब मैं क्या जवाब दूं उसका? दूं हाँ तो कहेगा गाना गाओ. ना तो कहेगा हॉबी कैसे ली थी आप? तो मैंने कहा सर आई एम ए कांसेन नॉट ए तानसेन. It just came to my mind at that point in time. They started laughing. So you have to have that presence of mind. Now let me build this further on music. Some of you have given this music as a hobby, and let me build this further on the hobby part. See, hobby does not mean that you're an expert in that. In fact, in a subsequently, I told the board when they pushed me further, I said, sir, I can't make out between sa, re, ga, ma, pa. I don't know what is the difference between them. But I enjoy listening to music. That's what hobby is. Hobby doesn't mean that you have become an expert in music. No, I can't make out the difference between Carnatic music and North Indian music and teen tal and sat tal. If they ask me, I won't be able to answer that question. But I don't have to understand the difference between teen tal, kahrwa and sat tal to enjoy music. What is hobby? Let me explain this to you because generally it will be applicable to all of you. Hobby is something which you enjoy during your spare time. So you have some rudimentary understanding of it, but you like it, you enjoy it. That's it. और मैंने कई लोगों का आपका डैफ देखा है 6 हॉबी लिख दी है बंदर के हाथ में 3-4 अस्त्र थमा दिए खूब मजा से मजा बनाया है ना. सो अंकुर आर यू सैटिस्फाइड?
यस.
कितने नंबर देंगे आप मुझे? चलिए नेक्स्ट.
Okay, so next is SY. Okay. Sparsh Yadav.
Sparsh Yadav.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sparsh.
Sir, I have a doubt that while we are preparing for certain topics, so should our choice depend on the service preference that we have given, or we can expect so I have given my foreign service as the first preference. So,
So you should have some idea of internet. You're not an expert. You're not supposed to be an expert. So you should have more of an idea on why do you want to join the foreign service rather than what is happening in the foreign affairs. वो तो आप वहाँ देखेंगे जाकर. This question you should be able to answer. That why do you think? I'm not answering this question right now because that's becoming very specific. You should be able to answer why do you want to join the foreign service. You should be able to also answer what is wrong with our foreign policy. Okay, for others' interest, if I ask you this question, what is wrong with our Indian foreign policy? How would you start answering that question?
So right now, I would say that earlier, the foreign policy over the past 5-6 decades, it has been a bit responding to the situation. And recently, we have been more proactive.
अच्छा, इसको मैं आपको, I'm stopping you here because I asked you this question with a specific purpose. When an opinionated question is asked, you have to be very clear in your mind how you answer that question. This is an opinionated question. It assumes that there is something wrong with the foreign policy. You have to contest to begin with. Contest का मतलब नहीं आप लाठी लेके उनको मार देंगे, नहीं. आप start करेंगे. Sir, I'm not very sure whether it would be appropriate to say that Indian foreign policy is wrong. So I'm lat nahi मार रहे उनको. But I'm partly contesting it by saying, sir, it may not be. So I'm showing myself as a positive individual. They will push you. They will push you on that. They will be critical. They'll make a critical statement. अब आपने yes or no दोनों कह दिया, मर गए दोनों में. So you have to bring about balance, and the balance would be, sir, I'm not very sure whether it would be appropriate to call a foreign policy a failure. Yes, there have been some problems with the policy, but there have been successes also. So you are emerging as an balanced individual. I purposely asked you this question because I want to convey to all of you on how to approach answering a question. That's very important. Knowledge may sit here. If you don't know how to express yourself appropriately, that knowledge will not help you. I'm not building it this further. Maybe in subsequent sessions, I'll take specific questions and tell you how to answer those questions. We can go on to the next one.
Okay, so next is Sudhanshu.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sudhanshu.
Sir, I have 3 small questions. One is with respect to the 22nd session that we'll be having one-to-one session. Should we come there as fully prepared like we are going for the interview?
No. No, it's not a mock interview, by the way. See, I don't believe in pushing anybody. The 22nd session is only to guide you. I look at your DAF, discuss with you, understand you, and tell you these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses, this is how you should work on it. Don't come please don't come prepared for me. मेरे लिए prepared हो क्या होगे तो मैं भी परेशान हो जाऊंगा because you already know so much, भाई. और prepare करोगे क्या करोगे भाई हम तो my job is only to suggest to you. So don't worry. What is the next question?
So the second question is, as you said that we should not attempt to win an argument, but let us say if there is a situation that I'm saying something, someone is contesting that, and it is going on one-on-one debate like thing, that what should be the logical culmination of it? I should be conceding to the argument.
कोई logical concede नहीं करना, sir. So what I said is based on the limited information that I have. And probably, sir, you may be having more experience. Probably you are right. I'm not agreeing with him. I'm not conceding. हम तो सिर्फ ये कह रहे हैं कि आपका अनुभव ज्यादा है, आपको ज्ञान ज्यादा है, तो हो सकता है आप सही कह रहे हो, but हम ये नहीं कह रहे हैं आप सही कह रहे हैं.
Okay.
You have to know. I will tell you how to politely conclude an argument with a board member.
Okay.
Right? I'll give you specific examples to tell you how politely you can conclude the argument. I gave you that example of that book, no? He wanted to contest it. I politely concluded. You know, the last statement to him was, sir, after this interview gets over, sir, I'll go and buy this book, read it out, and maybe find time someday and discuss with you. सब हंसने लगे उस पे.
Okay.
ठीक है ना?
So third question is with respect to this only, that are we allowed to give humorous answers just as you
don't become humorous? If it comes naturally to you, sense of humor, do that. I mean, that's the best. You know, I'll tell you, second year when I came out of the room, I thought I'll make it to the IAS. Why? Because everyone was in splits. हर जना हंस रहा था इधर था उधर. I mean, I didn't make a conscious effort, but they were laughing. because I could actually carry the interview the way I wanted to. So, सब एक दूसरे पे हंस रहे थे. There was a retired DGP who asked me a question, why do you want to give up IPS? Is IPS so bad? The question like that. Is IPS so bad? So I started by saying, sir, IPS is a fabulous service. I started with that. I didn't say no, sir. I said IPS is very, and I thoroughly enjoyed the training there. And I would have loved to continue. But in my limited understanding of the IAS, I feel, sir, there are greater opportunities in the IAS. Not to say that they are not. So I kept defending him and kept pushing my point. That's the art that you got to develop. Don't offend anybody, but you build your argument. You say, "आप तो बहुत बढ़िया, आपका तो बहुत ही बढ़िया है, बहुत बढ़िया." ये सर थोड़ा सा बेहतर है, ये थोड़ा सा बेहतर है. This you have to cultivate that. If you can cultivate that, it works. Because you see that DGP was very upset. He said कि आप क्यों छोड़ना चाहते हैं? किस लिए पुलिस छोड़ना चाहते हैं? क्या खराब है उसमें पुलिस? Things like that. So no, sir, it's a wonderful service. It's one of the finest services, sir. There's so much that can be done in police. Sir, I've been under training and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. तो वो क्या कहे? And then I spoke for 5 minutes explaining with facts at my command to explain to him how is the IAS better than the IPS. At the end of it, rest of them were laughing at him. कि उनको नहीं पता था जो मुझे पता था. I told him I had done that research because I anticipated that question. I said promotion ऐसे होता है, areas of operation ये हैं, काम करने का तरीका ये है. I told them the whole story. 5 minutes I spoke.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, चलिए. Next is Mohit Mangal.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mohit.
Sir, I have 2 or 3 questions regarding this. First is you talk about how to answer the opinionated based questions. So there are some contestation like if there is some point of view of the government and the issue is contestation, like we can say the current issue of collegium system, where government is saying something and the court is saying something. So how do we need to tackle it? Like we need to take the side, we need to form our own opinion, or we need how to balance it out?
You have to balance it out. You are not in a position to take a final view whether collegium is better or that is better. So what you will do is you will speak about the pros and cons of both. And then maybe have an opinion, sir. Given the limited information that I have, sir, I think since world over, nowhere in the world does judiciary decide who's going to be a judge. Perhaps it would be appropriate if decision is not taken by the judiciary itself. So no. What about impartiality, this, that, everything? Sir, maybe you are correct. अब हम झगड़ा थोड़ी ना कर रहे हैं. हमने अपना opinion दे दिया. And note this down at some point in time in one of the discussions that we'll have. I'll address this question. This is a very good question, could be asked. I'm not answering it right now. I'll tell you specifically how to approach such a question, right? But you don't have to fight with them. There could be a difference opinion in that. I mean, my personal view is, let me tell you my personal view and I'll justify it. Whereas I will start by saying impartiality or independence of judiciary is extremely, extremely critical in any democracy. There can be no doubt about it. But sir, I think we have to examine whether appointment of judge would impact the impartiality of the judiciary or not. And on the balance of it, should the judges themselves take a view on who should be the judges? And as I understand, and I'm limiting myself to my understanding, as I understand, sir, there have been many allegations of, inbreeding, judges appointing their own kins. So there are such things. And sir, finally, whatever little that I have heard about judiciary elsewhere in the world, there's, to my knowledge, and I may be wrong, to my knowledge, there is no country where judges appoint themselves. So you are, in your humble way, you are making an argument without being dogmatic about it. You can still say, sir, oh, no, it will impact this, sir. Maybe, as I said, my experience, I have no experience in this, and my knowledge may be limited. Maybe you're right. Khatam. Hum jhagda thodi na karna hai. So as I said in the presentation, you are not settling or clinching an argument. You are humbly presenting your point of view. Right, Mangal?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, the second question is, whenever I don't know any answer, like there are 2 and 3 continuous questions that I don't know the answer. So should I frame the statement like every time the same? Sorry, sir, I don't remember. Or should I frame differently at every no?
If you can frame differently, it's fine. But अगर वही भी कह देंगे तो कोई नुकसान नहीं है. No तो no ही है यार. इसी भाषा में बोलो, है ना? और उसकी चिंता ना कीजिए. See, I'm again suggesting to all of you, don't get hassled over issues over which you don't know. Say no. क्योंकि आप अगर कुछ और guess मारने लगेंगे, never ever guess a fact. Never ever give a wrong reply which you know is wrong. Never try to mislead the board. Be honest to yourself. वो they are बड़े होशियार लोग हैं, आपको पढ़ लेंगे अंदर से. ठीक है? Right.
And sir, last question is the length of the answer that someone also raised this
Depends
issue.
on, see, there is no definite कि आप अपना टाइमर रखिए अपना. आजकल तो मोबाइल फोन हमारे टाइम पे नहीं होते थे. वो टू किया, आपने कहा चुप हो गया अपना. ऐसे नहीं यार. Depends on the nature of the question.
Okay.
Now he asked me about the IAS and IPS, so I had to speak for 5 minutes यार. और बीच में अगर रोक देता तो हम चुप हो जाते. But I was not repeating what I was saying earlier. See, it's a question of how you speak, what you speak. Because if speaking sense, then they would like to listen to you. But if you're garbled and you're repeating the same argument, you're incoherent, then they will stop you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So next is Samveg Sharma. Please ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Samveg.
Sir, actually, I have a logistical question. I am preparing from my home in Rajasthan, and I'll be coming to Delhi for my mocks only. So, sir, my question is, how many mocks should I give and how should I space them?
भैया मैंने तो आपने you didn't hear me. I was speaking in English. अब मैं हिंदी में बोल देता हूँ जिसको समझ में. मेरे विचार से मॉक से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आप फिर जितना मॉकिंग कर लो, ये आपकी मर्जी है. मैं तो I don't advise people to go for mock interviews. What I would advise on the contrary is जो आपका ग्रुप है ना, वो 4 लोग 5वें को इंटरव्यू करें, फिर चेंज करें, फिर 4 लोग 5. बिकॉज जो नॉलेज आपको है वो किसी मॉक, मैंने कई मॉक, many people approach me for mock interview. I said I don't have time. First of all, even if I had, I can't sit morning till evening taking mock interviews. I would rather intensively understand Mr. Sharma and tell him that these are the aspects that you should look into. I have never mocked in my life, so I can't have a mocking interview. So I can't have a mock interview.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next is Sanjuli Jain.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Sanjuli.
So my question is, apart from the verbal oral answers that we give, does articulating our opinion also includes the body movement,
yes.
and head movement?
Yes. Communication is
how?
not merely, Sanjuli, communication is not merely speech. It's
Yes,
your
sir.
body language. And that's why
Yes,
in the
sir.
beginning, I wanted all of you to open your videos because I wanted to see your faces.
Mhm.
I wanted to see you how much you're smiling. I wanted to see how much you're nodding. How much I can read in your eyes as whether you're listening to me. I'm reading in your eyes whether you're listening to me. This is very important. How attentive you are in listening. You're not speaking. It depends on slight nods that you give. You are with the person who is there. So body language matters a lot.
Okay. Sir, to what extent we are allowed to move our hands, as it is said, restrict your movement when you are sitting?
Do it naturally. Whatever comes naturally to you. हाथ बांध के मत जाइए, हाथ उठा के मत जाइए, बाकी जो चाहिए करिए, मारिए नहीं किसी को, बस चला. But it's natural. See, again, don't change something which can't be changed in 1.5 months. Until it is so abrasive, it's so wrong that you have to change it. Otherwise, be natural. I'm requesting or suggesting to all of you, be natural itself. And slight changes le aaiye. That you will do when you have your group discussions. I will be hopping into some of them. 1-2 minute के लिए मैं आया करूँगा बीच में आपके group discussion में interfere करने के लिए. So I'll be watching you and then giving you some feedback on how you should be conducting yourself. To me, those group discussions in the evening are critical. I'm telling you, so many people have benefited out of it. They will help. Right?
Right.
Okay. Next is Iram Chaudhary, iPhone. Yes.
So my question is, when somebody asks about your opinion or like what is your take on this issue, how should we start, sir? Should we give a little background and then positives and negatives and then a way forward, like we are in a bit of writing our mains answer?
Iram, you first of all don't start with yes or no.
Okay.
Like the question was asked about the Indian foreign policy. No? So you can't say it's good, bad, or ugly. So you have to start with a bit of a background and then gradually veer to your opinion in the end. That's how it should be.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. And my next question is, I'm facing this problem of talking to people. I'm not a very talkative person, I guess. I've not been like this all my life. And now I'm just facing this problem of just starting the conversation, giving my opinions, as if I'm feeling like I don't have any opinions maybe.
Iram, you are one of the better ones that I've come across who are so articulate. So you should be proud of that. You may not be speaking to people, doesn't really matter, because the board members are going to speak to you and jolly well respond. So you are not starting a conversation there. The conversation will be started by them. So don't worry on that front, right? Don't put it as a burden on your head that you have not been speaking to people. Start speaking to people and make use of this group that I have talked about. Every day if you're going to speak, it will change you a bit. But don't worry about it, because I don't think the board is going to ask you to initiate something. They will initiate. That is one. Second, God willing, you will become a civil servant. As a civil servant, you have to start the conversation. So get into the habit, gradually change your habit to starting a conversation. Don't worry about it for the personality test. But if you're going to succeed as a civil servant, which I want all of you to, because just getting into civil service doesn't matter. I know of a large number of IAS officers feeling totally miserable in the service. They are miserable themselves, make life miserable for others. So don't do that. So for that, you'll have to start a conversation. So start with your friends, with your parents, start with that group, WhatsApp group. Start conversing there. Start speaking. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So next we have Vasant.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, Vasant.
Sir, in a situation like where there is an argument between the board and the student, where they intentionally expect a no and we say yes and yes for their argument, like, aren't we projecting ourselves as a submissive personality?
No. There are no yeses and nos in opinions. You are looking at it as black and white. That's why that fight arises. Whenever you say no or a yes, there is a reason behind it. And that yes and no is based on that reason. So what you have to say is state the rationale behind what you are saying. And thereafter, if he contests, so be it. Let him have the final view. You said what you have got to say. As I said during my presentation, you are not there to clinch an argument. You are making a statement based on the facts at your command, and your opinions are based on those facts that are at your command. Period. So just politely mention them. And it's not that you are evasive or you're not supposed to have finality in views, but you certainly have views based on the facts that you have. Right?
Yes. Sir, one more question, sir.
Yes.
Like, in some arguments, we can't comprehend within one or few sentences. For example, let me take a question. Like, very few days are left where we have put a target for doubling of farmers' income. So if the board asks me, like, regarding this question, I need at least 2 to 3 minutes to comprehend it for reasons for not achieving it. So how can we go about it, sir?
Okay. If you have to speak for 2-3 minutes, no problem. The board would want you to speak for 2-3 minutes. I mean, you can't expect a single line answer to a question, the one that you've asked. So it would require 2-3 minutes. You speak for 2-3 minutes. But you have to be cogent, you have to be coherent, you have to be logical, then they will listen to you. But I see the problem arises when people are unable to communicate effectively. They have garbled presentation, they're not logical, and then the board gets bored. B-O-A-R-D, B-O-R-E-D. So that you have to be careful. You have to be, if you are cogent, coherent, rational, logical, they will listen to you. 2-3 minutes is not a long time. There are a number of questions that you will have to answer in 2-3 minutes. And a question like this, doubling farm income, cannot be answered in half a minute.
Yes.
Sir, one more question regarding this only. Let's say we are asked a question on a particular topic and we need at least 1 or 2 minutes just to form that answer.
No, that you won't. You can't sit idle for 1 minute and forming your answer.
Yeah.
That is. You have to develop this art of speaking and thinking simultaneously. That is where the practice of speaking will help you. I had that problem in the beginning because I needed to reflect on an issue, not speak. But you have to get into you won't have time. 1 minute to reflect. No, not more than a couple of seconds to reflect. And you have to answer.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
That is okay. Are we okay?
Thank you.
Right? Okay. Thank you. So, Swapnila.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. So the question I had is that, so generally said that, we should only give answer to what is asked and not give unnecessary explanation unless the board asks for the explanation. Just to give an example, if suppose question comes up that, do you think humans are responsible for climate change? Then
Sorry,
should we
come
answer
again.
directly?
Come again.
For example, if the question is asked that are humans responsible for climate change?
Okay.
If this is the question.
Right.
Then should we, give a very direct answer that yes, I think humans are responsible?
No,
Or should
never.
we give a bit of explanation to that?
No, I have repeatedly said that. Don't start with yes and no. There are no, you can't start with even in the end, don't give a categorical answer. But you certainly can't start with a categorical, yes, sir, humans are responsible. Or no, sir, humans are not responsible. If I were to answer that question, I'd start by saying, sir, in my understanding, humans are by and large responsible for it. Primarily contributors to it. They are not the only ones. They contribute substantially. Now, no one can contest that. Even if they contest that, I have reasons to explain how I should be able to explain how humans are responsible for climate decay. You can explain that.
Okay.
But you can't say, yes, sir. Yes, sir, humans are responsible because... No.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
Okay. Next is Ayush Srivastav again, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, we are often told that we do not have to guess any time in the interview. But sir, what if we have a vague idea of what we want to answer? Suppose, sir, say they ask about some fact or say the Wildlife Protection Act. What are its provisions? Can you tell me? So we do not remember all the provisions, but we remember some of it. So should we answer or should we stay quiet?
No, so then your answer would be, sir, I must confess that I don't remember all the provisions. I have some idea of it. If you permit, I'll answer that. Can you?
Okay. Sure, sir.
See, you will gradually discover that you're not supposed to know everything. But if you know a bit, admit that you only know that bit. So it gets defined there. आप ज्यादा ज्ञानी पुरुष वहां बनेंगे तो प्रॉब्लम आएगी. Because they know everyone is not. और मैं बार-बार I am saying that all of you have more knowledge than everyone sitting in the board. I can say that for sure. I know those guys who sit there, right?
Okay. Another question I had was that we are often told that on our states and districts we should have the sensitivity of the ground realities. But how can I, at the age 22, develop sensitivities? I can only Google some facts.
वही कहिए ना आप ये ना कहिए how can I develop, कहिए कि साहब this is what I have understood. Don't say how can I develop.
Okay, sure.
Say that I have lived for so many years there and this is my understanding of the district. वो board member क्या जानता है उस district के बारे में? कुछ नहीं जानता. वो तो आपको पोक कर रहा है कि आपको कितना पता है.
Yes, sir.
तो आप क्यों चिंता करते हैं? जितना आए उतना. See, again, I am repeating this and I am glad this is coming up time and again. Admit your limitation. No harm.
Okay.
No one has perfect knowledge of everything. Admit your limitation. No harm. बताइए.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Next is Rishabh.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Rishabh.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे अभी
मीडियम हिंदी है ऋषभ?
हाँ जी सर, हाँ जी.
ओके, ठीक.
इंटरव्यू हिंदी में है सर, बाकी इंग्लिश.
पूछिए.
सर जैसे मैंने अभी स्टार्ट किया है, मतलब रीड करना आपने जो बताया था, एडिटोरियल्स में 40-50 मिनट्स रीड करता हूँ लाउडली.
अभी एक मिनट रुकिए. अभी आपने मेरे सामने दो वाक्य बोले, ठीक है ना? इन वाक्यों में 60% अंग्रेजी के शब्द थे.
जी सर.
कोई नुकसान नहीं है, लेकिन आपको इसको थोड़ा परिवर्तित करना पड़ेगा. अगर आप हिंदी में अपना इंटरव्यू देने जा रहे हैं तो आपकी कोशिश ये होनी चाहिए, थोड़ा अभी प्रयास करेंगे तो हो जाएगा.
जी सर जी.
वरना वो आपसे यही प्रश्न करेंगे कि आप तो अच्छी अंग्रेजी बोल रहे हैं, बीच बीच में इतनी सारी हिंदी में आप क्यों दे रहे हैं इंटरव्यू?
नहीं सर, लास्ट टाइम मैंने दिया था यूपीएससी में ही CAPF का, तो उन्होंने मुझे बोल दिया था कि आप हिंदी में दीजिए, मतलब कि वो 3rd मेंबर तक आते आते, तो क्योंकि मैं उतना फ्लुएंट नहीं था.
तो
इसलिए मैंने इस बार.
आप सही कह रहे हैं. मैं आपसे सिर्फ ये अनुरोध कर रहा हूँ कि हिंदी में आप अपनी फ्लुएंसी बनाइए.
जी सर.
अभी है आपके पास महीना 1.5 महीना, प्रयास कीजिए. पूछिए अपना.
तो सर 40 से 50 मिनट में सर उसको पढ़ता हूँ और उसको रिकॉर्ड करता हूँ, लेकिन उसके बाद जब खुद से बोलता हूँ तो उसमें जैसा भी आपने कहा 50 to 60% इंग्लिश शब्द ही रहते हैं, क्योंकि वो हिंदी वाले शब्द तो काफी टाइम से पढ़े नहीं है, तो वो याद भी नहीं आते और वो हो भी नहीं पाता. तो मेरे को यही पूछना था कि एक पहला तो ये कि मैं भी उसमें से जो शब्द मिलते हैं उनको लिखना स्टार्ट करूँ और उनको बोलना स्टार्ट करूँ, और दूसरा मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे कि अगर मैं 1 घंटे 1.5 घंटे उसको रीड कर रहा हूँ, हिंदी एडिटोरियल्स को जितने भी आते हैं, तो क्या क्योंकि उसमें करंट अफेयर्स का भी बहुत कुछ उसमें होते हैं चीजें, तो क्या मैं उन्हें अभी साथ साथ बोलने के बाद उनको लिखना भी स्टार्ट करूं, या क्या कर सकता हूं ताकि वो मेमोराइज रहे, वो अभी याद नहीं रहते?
नहीं, आप लिखने पे बिल्कुल नहीं बोलिए, को और बोलिए, 4 बार बोलिए, 6 बार बोलिए उसको, लिखने पे मत जाइए अभी।
ठीक है सर।
अभी लिखने पे, अब आप लिखना थोड़ी देर के लिए, जो कहते हैं लिखना पढ़ना, लिखना छोड़ दिए थोड़ी देर के लिए, तो बोलिए, है ना। ये मौका किसको कहाँ मिलता है, सब चुप रहने को कहते हैं। मैं कह रहा हूँ आपसे बोलिए, जितना बोल
जी
सके।
सर, जी सर, यही सवाल था सर मेरा कि
एक और चीज समझ लीजिए ऋषभ,
जी
कि ये होगा लेकिन धीरे धीरे होगा, तो इस
जी
बात
सर।
के लिए परेशान मत होइए आप।
नहीं,
धीरे
बिल्कुल नहीं
होगा,
सर।
है ना, बिल्कुल परेशान न होइए। आपका कब है इंटरव्यू, डेट आ गई आपकी?
नहीं सर, अभी तो डेट्स नहीं आई ना।
अभी डेट्स नहीं आई, तो अभी आपके पास कम से कम 1.5 महीना है, ठीक है ना।
जी सर, जी सर, मैं अभी कर रहा हूँ अच्छे से जो आपने बताया, तो उसमें
बिल्कुल आप बीच बीच में गायब हो जाते हैं। चलिए ठीक
सर,
ठीक, चलिए बहुत बढ़िया, करिए।
लेट्स से कोई बच्चा है जो हिंदी में इंटरव्यू दे रहा है, सर क्या हिंदी का मतलब प्योर हिंदी है या कहीं 10% 20% इंग्लिश वर्ड्स आ रहे हैं?
नहीं, खूब लीजिए, आप खूब बोलिए अंग्रेजी के शब्द, इसमें मुझे आपत्ति नहीं है, लेकिन आप 60% अंग्रेजी के शब्द इस्तेमाल करेंगे और 40% हिंदी के, तब तक नहीं। मेरा आपसे, आप क्लिष्ट हिंदी नहीं बोलनी है आपको, सरकारी हिंदी नहीं बोलनी है, जो आपका सामान्य रूप से, साधारणतया सामान्य रूप से जो भाषा है वो बोलिए आप, लेकिन 60% अंग्रेजी के शब्द होंगे तब समस्या आएगी।
Okay. So again, Samveg Sharma.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is, sometimes the board might ask about some vices of my maybe college friends. For example, like I was in IIT Kanpur and there was a news article that some drugs were caught in IIT Kanpur. So the board might ask that, do your friends smoke or do they drink, do they take drugs? So should I admit to it, because they know anyways that people in colleges drink or smoke or do these things, but I don't smoke personally. But should I admit that yes, my friends do this, or should I just abstain from admitting it that no?
No, let us, इस टाइप के जो क्वेश्चंस हैं उनको आप ध्यान से समझिए। और एवरीवन, आई थिंक दिस इज अ वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। Never say no to something which exists and you yourself are saying that they're doing it. But the question is, how do you answer? Yes, you can't say no, sir. You can't contest it because that's a fact and it's known to everyone. You will say, yes, sir, there have been some instances in the college where people have been caught taking drugs and they've been taking drugs. And sir, I must confess that a couple of my friends also smoked and took drugs. क्या हमें, आपको तो जेल नहीं भेजेंगे वो NDPS में, नहीं, ठीक है। Then the next question would be, how did you stay with them when they were taking drugs? Were you not tempted to take drugs? अब उससे और क्वेश्चंस बनेंगे, आपको जवाब आना चाहिए। आपने थोड़ी ना, अरे लिया भी है तो अब नहीं ले रहे ना, और ड्रग लेके तो उनके सामने नहीं जा रहे ना, क्यों परेशान है आप?
Sir, one more question about this only. Like they might ask, like give some real life example of integrity in your life. Okay. And I personally feel that I've never smoked anything or drunk anything. I've never had any drink. So can I give this as an example of integrity?
No. When you give an example of integrity, never give your own example. एक तो ये चीज है कि आप अपने आप को तोप मान के मत चलिए वहां पर।
Okay.
अपना एग्जाम्पल कोशिश कीजिए ना देने की, हमें करने दीजिए, रिटायरमेंट के बाद मैं अपने एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ, चल जाता है, लेकिन आप ना दीजिए, अभी तो आपको जीवन बहुत सारा करना है।
What if they might ask, like give example from your personal life?
अब बताइए आप, अभी तो आपने प्रश्न तो ये नहीं किया था, प्रश्न ने कहा था कोई एग्जाम्पल, अब आपकी एग्जाम्पल तो आप ही का देंगे,
like if they ask specifically from your personal life, like give an example where
if they ask you for your personal life, then give that example. But if they ask you to give an example of integrity, don't give your own example. You understand the difference between the two?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Next is Ishani Anand.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm
Good
Ishani.
afternoon, Ishani. Yes.
So I have a very small question. Throughout our preparation, sir, a lot of people will be giving us critique and corrections, perhaps within the group itself, parents or friends. Now, how much of it should be truly internalized and completely changed? Because after all, it may conflict with our true personality also. So where
wonderful, Ishani. You raised a very good question. You do what you feel comfortable with. Don't get pressurized by it. Don't get overawed by the inputs that are coming. You know, this time should be a comfort time which makes you feel confident. If you feel confident that you can change, And if you feel necessity of it, do it. Otherwise, just throw it out. Don't worry about it. All these pointers that I'm telling you or I am telling others is basically for you to reflect and then take a call. Because you have to be comfortable. I'm not going to give the interview. You're going to give interview. So you have to be comfortable. So take your comfort level. In many cases, you will feel, yes, I also thought that this was one aspect of my personality. I think he's right. And I think I should try. Do that. But the other aspects of personality which you can't change, don't worry about it. One thing I keep repeating, telling you, don't worry. You all have done marvelously well to have qualified for this personality test, because it's one of the toughest. I still have nightmares now. If I appear now, I won't qualify. I know it. So you all have qualified. So take comfort from that fact and try and improve whatever you can. That's what you should need to do. Don't worry about, I may be telling you 10 things, the group will tell you 10 things. Don't worry.
Right, sir. So just to summarize, so an overcorrection comes if I'm not comfortable with the...
Yes, basic comfort. You all should be comfortable with your physical appearance, with your clothes, with your psyche, and whatever discussion that I'm going to have subsequently with all of you will be to make you comfortable. You have to be comfortable. That's the best that you can do to yourself to come out. And in doing that, if I can, or if your group people can help you to rediscover yourself, because sometimes we don't know what good is in me. So we discover that as we go. As I discovered in Iram, she thinks she has such wonderful articulation. She probably doesn't realize it. If she realizes it, probably she'll be speaking to more people around. So I hope she discovers herself this way. This is not to criticize her. What I'm saying is there's a discovery. We will discover ourselves. And I'm telling you, Iram, if you can work on it, you stand a very good chance of making it.
Thank you so much, sir. That was my question.
Thank you. That is Rekulvar Shubham.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon. Haven't we spoken earlier?
Yes, sir. You said I'm not smiling.
Good. I'm so glad you are now.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have two questions. First one is, sir, like while answering the question, should I stick to the exact question or should I give a bit more? For example, if the question is, despite so many laws, we still have violence against women continuing. Why do you think so? If this is the question, should I just give the reasons, or in the end, should I also give suggestions?
No, you have to understand the question and answer specifically. Unless you ask additional things, don't on your own say anything.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Be focused, specific to the question that is asked. If they ask you suggestions, then give suggestions.
Okay. Got it.
Don't give suggestions on your own, you will be in trouble.
Right, sir.
Right?
All right. One more question.
Yes.
Similar to this, like as you said, I have to be specific while answering. So, sir, unless I have a prepared answer, many of the times it is not possible in that short time to give the precise answer. For example, if the question is on India-China border issue, there are many aspects to it, right? So if there is a specific question, like I might digress or I might take time to come to the exact answer. So my question is, while preparing, for example, I have read an article on India-China. First, I'll read the article, then I'll speak the article in my own words. So should I also prepare notes? In the sense, should I note down answer, how I'll answer that?
I mean, if you feel comfortable with it, do that. I have nothing against that. If you want to you want to become systematic through writing, do that. I'm not against it. But what will ultimately material is what you speak. But if writing helps you do that, do that. No harm.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So next is Dimpy Rajora.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Dimpy.
Sir, I have a doubt, like most of us will be in government offices, and there is a probable question that we can be asked what are the problems you have faced in your offices while working. And there are cases like there will be extreme problems. Like in my case, there was a proxy culture. And we can be asked as a counter question, like what did you do to solve those or to do in this regard? And honestly, I failed to do anything. I tried, but I failed to do anything. And then I left the office, so I left the problem as it is. I did not do anything to now resolve it. So what can be the approach in this regard? Like, how can we tackle such questions?
No, be honest with what has happened. You define the problem. You explain what happened. You explain why you couldn't do it. You explain the reason behind your quitting. And you can admit and say, probably, sir, I should have thought of these aspects also to correct the situation. See, admission of a mistake, of a failure is a strength. So don't ever think that you should have solved everything in your life for you to become a civil servant. In fact, you'll be creating more problems as a civil servant sitting here. So don't worry about not having been able to solve a problem. Who has been able to solve all the problems? Many of us, even I as a civil servant couldn't solve many of them. So what do? So there will be situations. So don't worry about it. If you failed somewhere, admit. There's no harm in admitting it.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
All right. So next is Mr. Yadav, SY. Okay.
He's again.
Yes.
He was there earlier.
Yes. Sir, actually, last year I had interview for the Forest Service. So one of the questions that was asked was, why are you wearing a tie and who told you to wear a tie? So what was the panel trying to gauge from this, and how can we answer similar questions? Like, why are you wearing a blazer? Or
what was the month?
Sir, it was June.
So had it been December, they wouldn't have asked you this question.
Yes, sir.
You went in an unusual uniform sitting there and you faced to a different. No, let me visualize if I were to ask that question. How would I answer that question, Sir? Sir, I thought this was a formal occasion, and to convey that formality, sir, I'm wearing this tie. There's no other reason why I'm wearing it.
Right, sir.
That's the truth.
Correct, sir.
That's the truth. I've stated the truth. He may still say, no, it's so hot. Yes, sir, I agree with you. It's very hot. Even I'm feeling a bit uneasy, but I thought since it was formal, I came here. आपकी टाई निकाल के आपका गला तो नहीं दबाएगा. You have to develop these, instincts of answering such questions. And since you raise a very interesting question, let me touch upon, because we are running out of time, let me touch upon another issue. All of you that have appeared in interviews before, like Mr. Yadav has done, reflect on those interviews, write the questions that you could not answer. And maybe in subsequent sessions that we have, I will take up those questions. You must learn from the mistakes of your previous interviews so that you do know well. I did that. In first year, I actually worked on each of the problems that I faced in the first interview, and I overcame each one of them. So do that. Now, why I'm telling this is, we've already had 2 hours and we are running out of time. I want to get a feedback from you, whether you would want to have a session like this. We can have more of sessions like this, where you can keep raising questions and I keep answering. Or would you prefer a one-on-one Zoom session? All your responses. Please raise your hands and I'd like to know from you.
So those who want a session like this,
please raise your hands.
Please raise your hand in front of the camera.
If you want more sessions like this, please raise your hands, electronic hands.
So sessions like this, where you can, all these students will be asking questions and right.
So what we will do is, now that I get your feeling, we will structure these sessions at least once a week, and we will seek your questions and try and answer those questions. Because I also feel that others also get benefited by the questions being asked by others. Is my understanding correct? Because I can have one-on-one, but that will be limited. So what I will do is, one-on-one sessions will be limited only to personal questions or DAF related questions. But today, as I heard, many of you asked very general questions which are relevant to everyone else. So we will try and structure more such sessions. Are you okay with structuring of more such sessions like this? Or as somebody said, it would consume your time and you would not be able to acquire knowledge that you would for the personality test. So what we would suggest is, we have a WhatsApp group in which all of you are members. Kindly indicate your opinion on that WhatsApp group, all of you. Are you listening to me, all of you? Please give your feedback regarding the session that we had today, all of you, and also suggest whether you would want similar sessions, more such similar sessions in future for interactions, generally speaking. Is that right? I could not take the question of Mr. Sharma,
yes.
But what we would do is, since we've run out of time, And since I've said we'll be having more sessions, we will take up this question then, and we'll be able to meet you. So all the best to all of you. My compliments to all of you once again for having qualified for the personality test. Relax, take it easy, and do the best thing that you can do with your lips. Keep smiling. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you. All the best. Thank you.